Good evening, good morning, good day, good night, wherever you are in the world. My name is Tim. I'm here with Gareth for the Speed Force Racing GP4 Series Chinese Grand Prix. Gareth, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I really appreciate it. Brilliant introduction there, as always. Better than ones that I ever did. But no, we should be in for a good one here, especially, like I say, China itself. I'm sure everyone's got their face mask ready. But it's going to be a good one. I'm really, really looking forward to this.
That it is, and we have almost a full car field, 18 cars, so, just too short of that full 20-car field, and I am dying for the day that we finally get all 20 cars, all 20 drivers in the race at the same time. It'll be a good one, but hey, that doesn't mean that 18 cars can't put on a good show, as we saw last week in Vietnam.
It was a cracker last week in Vietnam. I will admit that even I had to watch that back. It was awesome. Apart from the lovely glitch that happened during it as well, unfortunately with the Hooky racing the entire one, even though he actually got disconnected. But obviously, like I say, with his teammate, was very nice in giving his 10 points to Hooky himself. So that helps out Hooky within the standings themselves. But tonight's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that it is, and hopefully we're going to be able to avoid any technical difficulties and glitches and all of that. Unfortunately, those things are out of our control, so if they do happen to the viewers at home, just please do not put our heads on any stakes. We are trying our best over here. Currently taking a look at Lizen's 27. He's out on his outlap. I do believe he is the first car out on track. Yes, he is actually just coming out of turn 3. And I don't know how you feel about it, Gareth, but I absolutely hate the first 3 corners of this racetrack.
I'm quite the opposite, because the corkscrew itself is unbelievable if you get it absolutely spot on. I'd say coming out the corkscrew, then into the little kink of the right, down in the hairpin, obviously for that tight right again, then into those S's, where Listeners has actually just come out of now, into this double right-hander. But yeah, the corkscrew to begin with, I absolutely love it. So I'm on the opposite side of the fence to you, I'm afraid, on that one.
Maybe if I could work on the setup and get my car to turn just a little bit better, I might be able to sing a different song about it. It's just so far, every time I try to take it, I've got to be so very gentle, and sometimes, if I don't get it spot on, I even have to shift down into first gear just to get it to turn around the first turn. And now it looks like Gaming Things has been disqualified from the session for being parked in a dangerous area. We saw that last week in Vietnam, actually, so not sure where he was parked or what happened. He probably just spun out and couldn't get going quick enough. So unfortunate for Gaming Things. He's going to have a lot of work to do starting from P19 on the grid when we do start this race.
Yeah, I think with Gaming Things himself, he does have a lot of connection issues, and I think that's just another one where it's just lost connection, and his car has said, nope. and that was it, basically. That was it. But obviously sticking on with Listeners as you just come through that wonderful section of the corkscrew. Surprised you've got to go down the first gear through it. Very surprised. You need a better setup for that. Better setup.
Yeah, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It all just depends on how I can get into the corner. And really that depends on how much I can exit turn 2. So it's really difficult. The thing is that, sometimes I'll just carry in too much speed, sometimes I'll carry in too little, and then by that time I'm really screwed up as far as lap times go. So it's just a section of the track that's really kind of caught me off guard time and time again. That, and also the final corner where if you go wide, you're either gonna get a penalty, and whoa, look at that, the racing point. Who was that?
That was Kenzo. Obviously Kenzo was on an outlap. Yeah, Kenzo was on an outlap, and he looked like he was letting Listens go through, and then Kenzo decided not to move out of the way. That's from what I saw, because I was riding on board with Listens at the time. He's on the race, last on the racing line, but Kenzo still wants to do a dive bomb there. So I'm not 100% sure exactly what happened. A bit miscommunication, and Kenzo not realising Listeners was actually on an outlap.
Yeah, that was. Sorry. I mean, that was very interesting from Kenzo. So, he's picked up a 5-place grid penalty here already, so he's going to have a lot of work to do to recover from that. He's going into the pits now, obviously. I mean, he's got some wing damage. He might as well at this point. And, it's unfortunate that Listen's lap was kind of screwed up by that. So, Listen's, though, surprisingly, doesn't actually have a lot of wing damage, but I would imagine he's going to pit anyway because you know, I'm sure that he feels he can do a lot better than a 1:45 that he's got on the board right now. However, the time to beat is set by Kara, and that is a 1:32.394. And now look at this, Snellweg up to the top of the board, a 1:31.180.
Watch out for DJ Clark's about to come over the line. Ooh, I think that's third at 33-2. But yeah, no, I think that 5-second penalty for Kenzo. Then again, Sonic Hawk puts on 1:30.6.
Sonic Hawk, of course, showing his might here in the first few races. He's really been a driver to be reckoned with, showing some good speed in that Ferrari. Snellweg as well, so no surprise there to see those two on the front row, at least for the time being. We still have about half the field left to qualify, so still plenty of time for drivers to get up there and set a fast time, as we've got 12.5 minutes remaining in this session. But really, Sonic Hawk and Snellweg have kind of cemented themselves as being the ones to beat early on in the season.
I think they really are, especially, I mean, like I say, after the last race, of course, because we all thought after Australia that DJ Clarkson would really man up there, but he's had a couple of really bad races, so he's going to be looking to bounce back as well, because he did get the podium in Vietnam to go with it, so that's why he's still right at the top of the standings at the moment. But like I say, you got the likes of Prolover as well, who had the win in Bahrain, but yes, definitely, Sonic Hawk and Snellweg, first and second from last week's race. They both also had pretty bad starts to begin with, but at the moment they're the front runners right now.
Yeah, and another driver who's really shown some speed as well is Shu, who's starting his flying lap right now. So riding on board with him, going through that corkscrew, maybe I'm going to be able to pick up a few pointers here, and he's down into second gear, so that's so far a pretty good turn. He gets a little bit loose on exit. He's able to turn right there and hang on to it. Probably scrubbed off a little bit of speed, but not as bad as if he turned it all the way around. So good job by Shu on hanging on to that Alfa Romeo. So he is purple in first sector. It looks like purple in first sector. He looks like he's going to be going in for a good lap, but hey, there's still plenty of racetrack left to go.
There is tons of racetrack. I mean, Shu's coming in tonight as a reserve because he's no longer part of GP4. He has been promoted. So he's obviously part of the GP3 outfit with myself, so I look to race him tomorrow night as well. But it's good for him to have a bit of a test run to see, gives a bit of an idea of what he might need to do tomorrow night as well. So this is going to be one of his test runs tonight. So I look forward, gives me an idea of what kind of things he might do as well, so I get a bit of inside information at the same time.
Going down that long straightaway now, crossing the DRS zone. Activates it just in time, trying to get as much speed as he possibly can. Just 2 more corners to go. This really tight right-hander of a hairpin here. It's very difficult. You got to be careful there. It gets very loose. See, there you go. You have to be very careful. You get in the throttle too early, you're going to spin it out. So he gets loose, hangs on to it, stays within the track limits, using every bit of curb that he can, crosses the line. Third best time, a 1:32.3 for Shu.
Yeah, that's not a bad lap. I'd say it's 1.2 seconds off Snellweg, and of course, Shu is on the medium tyres. I still think he could get a bit more time out of that, but like I said, coming out that final hairpin off the straight, the back end did look a bit slidey coming out of it. It's got to be really, really smooth when you get onto the power coming out of there. So I think he's got more time in hand, but I'm sure he's going to do a soft run before too long.
Watching now is Racing Podge in that Ferrari. His Ferrari teammate of Sonic Hawk, of course, has the time to beat with a 1:30.612. So Racing Podge going to try to give him the business, but he's not going to do it this time. He goes wide out of the corkscrew, gets into the grass, hangs on to it. No damage there, but definitely not going to be a fast lap, so he's going to have to pull into the pits and try it again. That allows the Williams to go by. That is the Williams of, is that Kara? No, it is not Kara, so it is the other Williams car out on track. Looks like it's Shadow Lancer who went by Racing Podge there. Shadow Lancer on his outlap, so thankfully for him, Racing Podge's mistake did not hurt his lap time, because he's still out there just trying to get the car up to temperature. So we'll see what happens there. And actually another good reason why this is not a timed lap for him is that he's already invalidated the lap. So very, very lucky there from Shadow Lancer.
It really was. I mean, it's not too bad when you do, let's say, invalidate a lap on an out lap, but you just want to make sure you got enough space when you do go for it. And so you can beat me. He's currently going on the lap right now in the Renault on those lovely, lovely medium tyres, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, are going to be the choice of tyre coming into the race, because as far as I'm aware, those softs will last about 5 laps before they're absolutely dead.
Well, we'll see what the preferred strategy is here today when the race starts. See, me, myself, I am a big fan of reverse strategies when I can. So instead of starting on softs, I do like to start on the medium tires and then switch to softs toward the end of the race, if possible, of course, because you're kind of at the mercy of the tire wear and how long they're going to last. But if I get a chance to do that, I always do, and it seems to work at least okay. You know, so that's really always been my favorite strategies to go with. But, of course, if you're just struggling to get into Q3, which, of course, in this league we only have 1 qualifying session, but if we had 3, when you're just struggling to get into Q3, sometimes you're going to have to compromise that and go for the softs as well. And really, even in this league, you're going to have to go for the soft tires if you want to get a good lap sometimes. So taking a look now at who's got what tire fitted. Shu in third is fast on the mediums, while Sonicock has set the fastest time on soft. So a little bit of a differing strategies as you see there on the board. A lot of softs and a lot of mediums, but it seems that predominantly the drivers are going to be starting on softs.
They will be. I mean, it looks like a lot of them will be, but I think some are going to try and stay on these mediums as much as what they can. So it is going to be the better strategy to elongate it. And like I said, these softs will only last just a few laps. And if you've got to do 28, nearly 38 laps around this track, you cannot do a one-stop. Not if you're going on the softs, you're going to have to do it 2. There's no other way around it.
Yeah, and that will lose you a lot of time, a 2-stop versus a 1-stop. But it just depends, though. You know, are you fast enough? Do you have the pace to, you know, make up all that lost ground? Because you're not completely out of the count when you have to do a 2-stop versus a 1. You just have to really have the pace to make up the lost time.
You really do need the pace, and Snowworks just found it out by getting pole with a 130.3, which is absolutely awesome, like 3/10 quicker. But I mean, those outside the top 10, they have the option to start on the hards, because hards to mediums will work. So then you can only do the 1-stop, because the hards will last a hell of a long time.
So do you think that we're going to see that strategy maybe prevail and put a driver in victory lane today?
It's a possibility. As long as you can keep it clean, stay out of trouble, don't go banging and bashing, and take your opportunities when you can. Start on the hards and then switch into the mediums later on. It's a good chance they can get some seriously good points.
Well, just under 6 minutes remaining in this qualifying session before we see which driver will have the pace and which driver will start on the pole. Currently watching Proliver, and he goes very wide out of turn 1. That was his flying lap, too, so he's going to have to try that again. He's going to have to maybe think about getting to the pits very quickly if he wants to improve on his 134.4. That is about 4 seconds slower than the current provisional pole time set by Snellweg. So Proliver not having a good day here so far. Taking a look at Racing Podge now. He's went out on the soft tires. He is on his out lap, so about to start his flying lap. Going down this very long straightaway, there are some yellow flags, but it's just some drivers letting him by to start his flying lap. So good sportsmanship there all around. Always good to see that. Racing Podge has had some fairly decent pace this season, but to my knowledge hasn't really been able to clinch that top spot in the race. Of course, I missed the first race in Australia, but I've been here ever since. And Racing Podge, quick, just not quick enough to win. But can that change here today as he goes through the corkscrew?
I mean, I can't see why not. I mean, I've been racing with Racing Podge since Season 5, and he was extremely quick. But then the Season 6 came along, and he was unfortunate. Every single race, nothing went his way. He only finished just a few races that season. I say he's one of the foundations of SFR itself. So hopefully this season he can really turn it around. He had a 4th place last week in Vietnam. Like I said, he got the 8th, not the 8th place, sorry. He he got 6 points in Bahrain. I can't think of the position right now, but he got the 6 points. Like I say, he did get the 9th place in Australia, but he did get the fastest lap, so he does have the pace there. And who knows, maybe this race can start turning things around and get back to winning ways.
Well, he's going through Sector 3 now, going down that very long straightaway. So we'll see what he does. See, I'm not seeing purple in any sectors so far, so this might not be a pole lap that we're looking at here, but can it be a top 5 lap or a top 10 lap? We'll have to just wait and see. Rounding that very tight right-hander of a hairpin. Absolutely hate that corner, but it's not too bad when you compare it to the corkscrew, at least in my opinion. The final corner now, using up every bit of curve that he can, staying in the track limits, crossing the line. A third fastest time, a 1:31.397 for Racing Podge in the Ferrari.
That's an awesome time, but the differences between the top two compared to the rest of the field is absolutely astronomical. I mean, it's a second between Snellweg and Racing Podge. A second. That is immense.
Yeah, I really think that Snellweg and Sonicock, they're going to be the ones to beat here today. Of course, strategy could change that. If there's some drivers out there that can go on the one stop, like you were saying, then that might be the best case scenario for them to try to win. But it does seem like, at least from the qualifying times, that Snellweg and Sonicock are going to be the ones to beat. And, that's what it was last week as well. And look at this now. Hookie in the AlphaTauri, a 1:31.288 on the board for third. Or, excuse me, I think that's actually a 2:98. Having problems reading the numbers there. But Hookie, third fastest time so far with just under 2.5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, it's going to be really good because his teammate, actually, believe it or not, is actually coming around the fast couple of corners now, which is Energy Dan, who's yet to set a time. And obviously, he's on these mediums, so we're going to see what he just pulls out with the DRS wide open, coming over the line with moves into 6th place with a 1:31.8, which is the fastest medium time we've got so far.
Yeah, and that is a good time for Energy Dan on the mediums, as you said, because the second fastest time is set by Shu, a 1:32.3, and that's only good enough for 8th. So if Energy Dan is able to retain that 6th starting position, or at least a top 10, then he might be a contender to do well here, or maybe even a contender for the win, because, as we were talking about reverse strategies, he's going to be able to stay out a lot longer on those medium tires than he could on the soft tires, and undoubtedly that's what he was going for, to try to set a fast time on those mediums. So we'll see if it works out for him here in just a little bit over 2 minutes time. Got a few drivers left to finish their qualifying laps. Going to take a look now at You Can Beat Me. He's on the softs. Currently his best time, a 1:32.960 in 11th place. But he looks like he's actually a little bit under power. Yeah, he is. He's only going through 4th gear here. So he's under power. Not sure what's going on there. I highly doubt this is going to be a fast lap. So we're going to take a look at Lodion down there, and also in the Renault, but he's got 2 laps on those soft tires, and I think he's just riding around at this point as well. So Proliver going to start another out lap, so riding on board with him. We'll see what he can do when he makes his lap back around, but switching around all the time here. Kara on a flying lap now, so we're going to watch and see what the Williams can do.
So the Cara's actually had a really, really good race, even though they're only a reserve. And obviously standing in for Lombamba, who unfortunately is not with us tonight. Obviously, another thing to talk about who's not with us tonight is, obviously, of course, the new Alfa Romeo driver, as Durant has dropped down to reserve, and that is Need for Speed. Now, unfortunately, this was supposed to be his first race tonight, but unfortunately, he's not with us tonight, so, due to personal circumstances. So, everyone from Speedhawk Racing, all our wishes and prayers are with you at this moment in time.
So Kara just finishing Sector 2 now. Purple in Sector 2. The Williams is purple in Sector 2, so this could be a fairly fast lap. Might see them improve on their 1:31.6. About to go down that very long straightaway. They got an Alfa Romeo ahead of him, so they're actually going to dive down low to try to get a slipstream from him. So that might actually really improve their time using DRS as well. That's the Alfa Romeo of Lizens. Of course, Lizens going to just stay low and let Kara by. Good sportsmanship there, of course. But approaching the hairpin, actually, there's contact.
Lizens didn't move.
Oh my goodness, and that actually killed Kara's lap there, I am sure. Otherwise, that might have been close to a pole time.
It would have been. It was unbelievably quick, and I'm not sure. I mean, Listen's on 3-lap-old soft tyres. I'm unsure why they kept on going. They were on the inside line. This is what I don't get sometimes. People have to start realising that there's going to be others on fast laps. And I feel sorry for Cara, because I think that could have been an absolutely exceptional time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't intentional. It was just a mistake, but nonetheless, that was unnecessary. I mean, all you really got to do is let off the throttle, And if you're not slowing down enough, just hit the brakes. I mean, like you said, you're on 3-lap old tires. You're not going to set a pole time on 3-lap old tires. You might as well just move over and let someone by, especially when it's someone that you're not even close to on the leaderboard.
Exactly right. I mean, like I say, Carter was getting an absolute massive slipstream, and obviously they moved over to the standard racing line. Listen stayed on the inside, but kept defending it, and I don't understand why you're trying to defend on a qualifying lap. That's what I don't get. But I'm sure this instance, I see Listen's been involved in 2 incidents now, one with Kenzo and now the other with Kara, and I'm sure both of those are going to go to the stewards after the race.
Yeah, and I did not get a good look at what happened with Kenzo, so I have no idea what's going on there. I thought that Kenzo was at fault, and then Lizens was at fault in this past incident. So, like you said, the stewards are probably going to have a look at both of them, and then the stewards will make their decision accordingly. But unfortunate to see that. I mean, sure, it gives us a little bit of action, but at what cost? Obviously costing Kara a good lap there. But with the session only having about 30 seconds left, I think that what you see is what you're going to get. It looks like every driver has actually finished their lap, so I do believe that this is the official time. So as we were talking about Energy Dan being the fastest driver on medium tires, he has been demoted down to 8th place, so still not terrible, but probably wishes that he was a little bit higher up the board.
I'm sure he will do, but I say he can do a lot of work from there as well. It's just going to be that pinch point, the concertina effect as you go through the corkscrew 1, 2, and 3. Is yes, you can go in 3 wide into it and possibly 3 wide all the way through, but as soon as you get out of into the left-hander, the tight left-hander, there's no way you're going to get 3 cars wide. There's going to be a lot of bunching up there, and I can see a lot of carnage happening on this first lap.
Yeah. So your official starting lineup for the Chinese Grand Prix: Snellweg in first, Sonic Hawk second, Hooky third, DJ Clarkson and Racing Pods your top 5, Kara in 6th, Proliver in 7th, Energy Dan in 8th, Shadow Lancer 9th, Shu in 10th, Kenzo in 11th, 12th is Psychomich, Fanny Lion in 13th, You Can Beat Me in 14th, Lodion in 15th, Lizens in 16th, Shade in 17th, Bannister in 18th, and 19th is Gamey Things, who had a DSQ very early on in that session. That is your official starting lineup for the Speed Force Racing GP4 Series Chinese Grand Prix. Will be going green very, very shortly, so you have plenty of time, viewers at home, to take a bathroom break, go get concessions, which, of course, if you're at home, that's just going to your kitchen, so not a very long walk for you, or, of course, you could just sit here and listen to us banter up until the point that the green flag drops. So, who are your top 3 picks here tonight?
My top 3?
Yes.
Ooh. Well, it's going to be Snellweg and Sonic for a start for the first 2. After that, it's anyone's game. But I'm gonna put my neck out. I'm literally gonna put my neck out, and I'm gonna tell you right now, I think Energy Dan's going to be right up there with him.
All right. I was thinking obviously Snellweg, Sonic Hawk. And I'm going to go with, I'm going to go with Energy Dan as well, actually. He was going to be my first pick. I thought about going for someone else because you picked Energy Dan, but I really feel like he could, break through and get that podium here today. Of course, another driver that we could look at is going to be Kara. We saw that they were very fast before that incident in qualifying, so that might be another driver that could squeak by and get that podium. And, Hooky, lining up in 3rd, if I'm not mistaken, so he's also fast as well. Plenty of drivers that could get that podium here today. There you see the cars lined up on the grid, starting our formation lap now. Here in just a few minutes' time, we're going to be going green flag racing.
Indeed, we are. Let's say 19 drivers, but I think Shu will be leaving the session, as I think they were invited by mistake, as I believe on that one, what I'm getting. But I'll say as they go through the formation lap as they do now, just a few little people that have picked up in the chat at the moment. Obviously, James TLH is saying good luck to everyone tonight. They've also commented on the Racing Point Alfa Romeo incident with Kenzo and Listens, and of course Oliver's gaming channel, obviously with Kara and Listens, so that was awful. And someone's actually saying Sonic Hawk to win, and of course Will Sampson, as we know as Topics, saying Hooky to win.
Well, we got some Sonic Hawk fans and some Hooky fans in the chat, so we'll see if they are able to celebrate at the end of the day. And is Lizens and Kenzo been disqualified from the race or just the formation lap? Am I reading that correctly?
Just the formation laps. So maybe they've just not finished with their qualifying instance just yet. They had to go do it again during the formation lap. Now, unfortunately, if you do tap someone, it could be totally not your fault as well. You could just be minding your own business. Someone hits you from behind. You will get disqualified from that formation lap, and then you'll be sat on the grid through no fault of your own. So, wasn't watching them, so I haven't got a clue what actually happened there.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully there's not a lot of carnage between the two. I'm sure that Lizens probably isn't too happy with Kenzo, but I would imagine that Kara isn't too happy with Lizens either after the incidents in qualifying. So, we'll just have to wait and see what happens there and how that plays out. But Snellweg lining up on pole with Sonicok and Hookie, your top three, just to refresh your all's memory. So that McLaren rounding the final corner, going to line up on the grid. Snellweg shown a lot of speed last week in Vietnam, finishing in second. Of course, I do believe Sonicok was the one to win that race. Now it's looking like the roles are reversed, with Hookie lining up in third, Clarkson in fourth, and Racing Podge in fifth. So 2 Ferraris in the top 5, a Mercedes, an AlphaTauri, and a McLaren. And a very interesting top 5, really not one that you always see in real life Formula 1, so it's always good to mix it up here a little bit for Speed Force Racing. There you see the drivers lining up on the grid. They're just waiting. Their only thought in their minds is on this race, and there you hear those engines revving, you hear those itchy pedal feet, the drivers watching the lights. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. No red lights. We are green for the Speed Force Racing GP4 Series Chinese Grand Prix. Snellweg leading him down into turn 1 with a big challenge from Sonicok there in the Ferrari, riding on board with Sonicok. There you see him trying to get close to the McLaren of Snellweg, going through the corkscrew. The drivers taking their time, though, going very slow. 3 wide there behind him. That was Kara. No, that was Shadow Lancer and Racing Podge for a moment. 3 wide, maybe with Kara. Contact now between Racing Podge and Shadow Lancer. So Shadow Lancer was pushed off into the grass from Racing Podge. That's going to drop him down into 9th, giving Energy Dan that 7th position. So already some beating and banging early on.
Yeah, there was, I'd say, in the corkscrew, I knew something was going to happen, and it actually did. I'm not sure, but all I saw that Energy Dan did go into the back of someone, hence that massive front wing damage he has right now. I do know it was with one of the Williams, but I don't know if it was with Kara or with Shadow Lancer at the time. Energy Dan does have damage. This is actually a good opportunity for him now, is he can, I'll say, overall, it's not good for him, because he's started on those mediums. Must be not what he wanted. He must really want to run along into this race, but he's going to have to pit, get a new front wing, and I won't be surprised if he gets straight onto those hards.
And look at this, Kara and Racing Podge battling it out. They are side by side. They were side by side through that set of corners before they got to the front straightaway. Now it looks like Racing Podge has gotten in front of him. But now look at this. Now Kara going in front of him. So these drivers just trading paint here, or not trading paint, but rather trading positions as they go through the hairpin. Looks like Kara went in just a little bit too deep, had a little bit of a lockup there, but Racing Podge not able to take advantage of that and having to stay in the 6th position for now. Snellweg sitting the fastest time on that first lap. But the battle that I'm interested in is between Racing Podge and Kara. These two drivers just switching it out time and time again, going through the corkscrew. Racing Podge using that curve to try to get that car to turn, while Kara staying off the curve, but now going through the grass a little bit as Kara in that Williams. So not sure if they're trying to throw a block or just got the car a little off balance. Racing Podge getting a little bit loose actually through turn 3, but hanging on to it. That car was actually sliding around there, almost drifting like.
Looks like we've got a timing fault again at the moment, so please bear with us on this one. But I'm just watching the battle at the front between Snellweg and Sonic Hawk. They're both of them are now starting to pull away. They are taking Hookie with them. Hookie's just about trying to hang on, but the top 3 are actually starting to pull away from DJ Clarkson, who has got no answer to them. Absolutely no answer whatsoever.
Yeah, Snellweg, Sonicok, Hookie, your top 3 riding on board with the 3rd place driver of Hookie at the time being. Remember, folks, as Gareth said, what you see on the leaderboard is not exactly accurate. There is still a glitch that, unfortunately, we cannot control, and it's just going to make our jobs a lot harder, but at least you get to see some nice, tight racing here. And there you see the The tire strategy chart popping up once again. Hooky trying to challenge Sonic Hawk for second place, going around the outside of that hairpin, but not able to do it. Does a crossover move, or at least tries to, but cannot get off the corner. Just does not have the speed off the corner, so Sonic Hawk going to pull away here as they go through the final corner. DRS should be activated this time if it isn't already. So we'll see what driver can get the advantage here. Sonic Hawk in second, trying to chase down Snellweg in that McLaren, but he is getting close to being out of DRS range, so Sonic Hawk is going to have to really kick it into high gear here.
Yeah, I think Snellweg's actually turned the wick up a little bit, hence why he's starting to pull away. He's over a second in front now. But during all this one, DJ Clarkson's starting to close in on the back of all three of these guys at the moment. But after that, after Kara's, I don't know, I'm not sure what's happened to Kara. They might just be backing out a little bit, but they just seem to be dropping straight off at the moment. Because Racing Pod is all over the back of Kara right now.
Take a look at it from Racing Podge's point of view. Looks like there's a little bit of distance that's grown between the two drivers now. Racing Podge actually suffering a little bit of understeer through that corner, but probably just the right amount of understeer. Able to hang on to it, didn't really lose a lot of time, but actually got a little bit loose off of that corner there. I think he clipped the curb and had to dance with the car just a little bit. So Carr running in fifth. Of course, Racing Podge trying to get up there to that fifth position. I think he might have DRS on this straightaway, but he's going to have to get a good exit here. He's really flirting with that time, and nope, he is out of DRS range. So unfortunate for him. Just barely, literally by 1,000th of a second at the DRS line, was out of DRS range. So that's got to hurt Racing Podge big time. That could have been his only shot to get by Carr. I think that they have really kicked it into high gear, maybe even thrown in overtake mode, and have now starting to really show their speed in this race.
They really are. I said they're all starting to settle down. I mean, some of them just want to get the overtake in, just to get a little bit of distance. All the rest are just trying to settle in, get themselves a rhythm before they start attacking. Because I say these soft tires will be starting to fade away. As again, Racing Podge gets so close during the corkscrew, but the way past after that, which I find really interesting. Hooky's now starting to bear down on Sonic Hawk at the same time as I say Snellweg's pulled out a gap. DJ Clarkson's pulled off, so I think again Hooky is just starting to turn things up to try and get past.
Yeah, riding on board now with Hooky as he tries to chase down that Ferrari. And, you know, it almost seemed like Hooky might have been a little bit better through the first sector than the second sector, much like what you were saying with Racing Podge versus Kara there, because, you know, as you could obviously see when we were watching Racing Podge, that he just closed the gap significantly on Kara. But now look at this, Hooky has actually closed the gap significantly on Sonic Hawk, so you could literally throw a blanket over the top three cars here. Really not a lot of jostling around for position, but Hooky is trying to change that, looking on the inside of Sonic Hawk, but just not close enough to do it. He's going to have DRS range here down this straightaway. That I am sure of. You can see it right there. He is in range. But Sonic Hawk's going to have DRS on Snellweg too. So the question is the McLaren going to be a sitting duck? He's already going on the inside trying to protect his position, and that might have been the challenge from Hooky that saved Snellweg from losing the lead there. But Snellweg without DRS was an absolute sitting duck to Sonic Hawk and Hooky. But, you know, Hooky kind of hurt Sonic Hawk's chances of getting into the lead there because he went on the inside as well.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, they both had the DRS, and of course they were both trying to attack, but obviously Sonic had to pull back out onto the racing line because Hooky could have just snuck up between the both of them. And as we're doing that, just saw in the background that Racing Podge and DJ Clarkson have pitted for those medium tyres, so it won't be too long before you see your leaders in as well. But during all that, which we didn't actually see, Listeners is actually retired. I actually missed out, but Gamey Things is actually holding the fastest lap of the race at the moment.
And that is interesting, actually. I didn't know that Listen's retired either, or that Gamey Things has the fastest lap. Of course, with him being in the 18th position, he's not going to get any points for that unless he gets into the top 10. But nonetheless, I mean, you know, good job from Gamey Things. Gets disqualified from the qualifying session, but says, hey, you know what? I'm going to go out there, set the fastest lap, and I'll show you what I can do.
Indeed he is. I mean, like I say, he does have poor connection, so he's trying to do whatever he can. But during all that one, even though, like I say, Energy Dan had some damage on the first lap, he's actually back to 15th place now, and he's just got past Sheep 14th, and he's going to be chasing down about 10 seconds.
Well, this has been interesting. I think I might have actually lost connection this time. So, yep, there we go. Lost connection to PlayStation Network. I will try to get back into the party. Or, excuse me, rather, I'll try to get back into the lobby. So give me just a moment, guys. We'll get back to the race here in just a minute. This happened once earlier today, so we're going to try to get back in. Also going to try to get back in touch with Gareth, my co-com. So give me just a moment, guys. I know you're not seeing anything on the screen right now, but it's all going to be good. Just a little bit of connection issues here. Of course, out of our control, unfortunately. So just waiting now to get back in. And okay, now we can take a look and see who's doing what in this race. Hooky. Looks like Hooky is now in the lead. Sonicok and Snellweg, I'm assuming, has pitted. So we're going to take a look at the tire strategies here now. Yes, Sonicok and Snellweg both have pitted, so they're down in 9th and 10th position. Hooky leading right now with 5 laps on those soft tires. Kara in 2nd, Shadowlancer in 3rd. Those drivers on the soft tires have yet to make a pit stop, but everyone else, I do believe, have already made their pit stops. Well, there might be a few drivers back there on the medium tires, but there you see Hooky going in the pits now. Gareth, are you with me?
I am definitely here. Welcome back, of course. And I'll say you said about the drivers pitting. Shadowlancer stayed out for another lap. Very, very brave of him to do that. Of course, Bannister's going to have him into the corkscrew, which shouldn't be a problem for Bannister to get around with the fresher tyres. But I think Shadow needs to come into these pits now because 6 laps, he's asking for it on those tyres.
Yeah, I guess he was trying to go for, what they call the overcut. And it works if you have the time, if you have the pace, if you have the tires there. But, with Bannister going by him on old mediums, I just don't believe that, as you said, that he has the tires.
He doesn't. I say Bannister's nearly over a second ahead of him now already after the 4 corners. It's a case of damage limitation, get yourself into those pits, get on a set of mediums, and obviously just run them out as hard as you can until you have to do another run on them. But yeah, it's a bit of a mixed up right now because Psychomich is up there in P3 at the moment. I've got no idea how long he's been on those hards. Obviously, he's from the start, looks of it, but it's not showing up on the system properly. But we've moved to the hards, a lot of them going onto the mediums. You won't see anyone on those softs again. I highly doubt they will, though.
So just going to warn you guys, I've got a notification that apparently my internet is having issues, and I know you all don't know where I live, but my apartment complex is not exactly famous for having good internet connections. So if we cut out again, my apologies. But while we're here, I'm still going to focus on the race. Just giving you a quick warning there. Shadowlancer in 3rd, dropping back significantly because there you see Psychomich on hard tires have already gotten by him. So Shadowlancer probably undoubtedly going to go into the pits this time. Snellweg already battling on Shadowlancer on the back, but there you see Shadowlancer going into the pits.
Indeed you do. I think he's just gone 1 lap too long though in my eyes, to be honest. But apart from obviously he being the last soft runner coming in, you need to start watching the medium runners that have been on these tyres from the start, because give them about 3-4 laps maybe, they'll be themselves. So it's going to shake everything up, because right now it's one messed up. It's pretty crazy right now with everyone's sitting.
Yeah, and a lot of differing tire strategies, of course, as a lot of drivers have started on the mediums, and now they've, some of them, as you can see, have decided to go for the hards because, realistically speaking, the softs are not going to last to the end from this point at all. So the drivers that may have had damage that started on the mediums, like you said, Energy Dan did, he had to pit for the hard tire, so he's going to try to maybe stretch it all the way, but we'll have to just wait and see what happens with him. And then the drivers that started on the softs now going on the mediums, I feel like the mediums might be able to last. It's just a matter of how much racing you're doing and how much tire conserving you're doing.
This is not the easiest track for tire conserve, especially come out of the slingshot there down the back straight. It's very, very, very hard to conserve your tyres around here. Even if you could manage to stretch out, well, put it this way, if you could manage to stretch out soft to hard, it'll be absolutely amazing. But those hards at the end are going to be screaming in pain. They really are. So I highly doubt you could really do a soft to hard. But I've seen stranger things happen. I've seen stranger things, so we never know.
So with Bannister running in first, I'm watching the time interval between him and Snellweg. Snellweg, of course, on newer mediums than what Bannister has. About 6 laps difference there. Snellweg is eating away at that time. The gap has shrunk to about 2.7 seconds. It was over 3 seconds just, about, I don't know, a minute ago. So Snellweg definitely getting fast. If you're Bannister, what do you do in this situation? Do you just stick with the strategy and do you, just stay out for as long as possible, knowing that you're probably going to be passed by Snellweg very shortly? Or do you maybe try to, pit for the hard tires and outlast him later on?
I think, to be honest, it all depends who you're actually racing during your race, of course. I mean, yes, Bannister's at the front. Snellweg does have the fresher tyre, but Bannister knows he's not racing Snellweg at all. He knows he's not fast enough to be up there at all. So if it was me, I'll just let the guy go past because I know I'm not racing him. But you think you've got a shot, then go for it. Try and defend as much as you can, which is actually what I've been doing watching Sonic Hawk right now, because he's actually running with a bit of damage. But Fanny Lion is not letting him past. He's refusing to let him go by. So this is gonna hinder Sonic Hawk during the rest of this race now.
There goes Fanny Lion actually around Sycamich through that hairpin. Sycamich getting a little bit loose in that Haas car. So now they're side by side. That's actually allowing Sonic Hawk to get closer to these two drivers. Sonic Hawk going very wide out of that final corner, but able to hang on to it. So now he is really breathing down the neck of Fanny Lion, as you said, but Fanny Lion really putting up a fight. And then there's contact! Sonic Hawk gets into the back of Fanny Lion, sends him off the track, and there is wing damage on that Ferrari.
Oh dear, so that's what happens when, I say, with the corkscrew can go in so fast. You really, really can. And unfortunately I didn't catch it because I was actually just watching the comments, I'm afraid, so I actually didn't see it. But Sonic Hawk, after having such a fantastic start, he's got a hell of a lot of work to now, but he does have the option because he can go onto those hards for the rest of the race. He can do it. He can just get himself a wing change, get himself onto those hard tyres, and just literally drive the wheels off that car to get himself a decent finish now.
Yeah, and really that is his only option left. I mean, maybe if he wants to, put a little bit more risk into it, he could go for the mediums and see if they'll last about, 17, 18 laps. But the hards might really be the best case for him, and he's going to have no choice but to pit. I mean, as you saw there, he can't even keep it in the corners. He just drives it wide each and every time because that wing is just so damaged. He has no downforce in the front, so he just has no grip. He can't hang on to it whatsoever. So Sonic Hawk, we're going to look for him to pit this time. And from what I saw there, that was just really a racing incident. As you said, you can carry in a lot of speed into that corkscrew, and it looked like Fanny Lion just wasn't willing to carry in a lot of speed, and Sonic Hawk didn't anticipate that. So we got into the back of him, and, in Sonic Hawk, unfortunately, because these front wings are so fragile, just got the worst end of the deal.
I think he did. Obviously, looking at another one of mine just nearly had his front end taken off, and that was Snellweg and Bannister. Snellweg is literally right behind the guard. I want to know if Bannister's actually going to try and defend or just let him go through.
Well, we're taking a look at that battle now. No damaged front wings on any of these cars, thankfully for them. Snellweg looking on the outside, but not able to do anything with it. But on this section of track that they're at, it's not going to be too long before they reach that long straightaway where they will have DRS. So that's going to be what we're going to want to watch for here, is will Snellweg be able to get by Bannister with the DRS? I'm going to assume that if Bannister does decide to put up a fight, that he's going to go down low to try to, protect the shortest line around the corner when they get to the hairpin. However, Snellweg is close enough, and he's got fresher tires than Bannister, that I think that he's going to get by him before they get to the hairpin.
Oh, he should literally pounce him coming out the slingshot now. He should literally get him. He is actually quite close to him right now, and I think Bannister just had a bit of a moment coming out there as well at the same time. So I'll be surprised if DRS is wide open, which it is now. Straight into high, straight into overtake, and here he comes.
Around the outside, but does not complete the move. A little bit of contact there, just maybe, but Snellweg does get by Bannister. So, does Bannister pit now? What does he do? We're going to ride on board with him. No, he doesn't. He's going to go out there for at least one more lap, and there is a yellow flag in Sector 3. I'm not sure if there's a car off the track or what, but Bannister now losing the lead to Snellweg. Snellweg might have just won this race.
I think he has. That yellow flag is for Proliver, who has retired in the pits, but his ghost car is coming back. Ow! That was so close between Hooky and Sykomich into turn one. Sykomich is the picking for everyone right now. He's just got no pace. No pace in that Haas car at all, and he's getting picked off one by one with all the medium runners right now.
So we're going to take a look now at Sykomich there in 4th place, with DJ Clarkson breathing down his neck in the Haas car. Of course, Clarkson in the Mercedes. Clarkson on old mediums, Sykomich on brand new hard tires. Riding on board with Clarkson now, we'll just see how much of a gap that he can really gain on Sykomich. Clarkson's tires, with only 6 laps on the mediums, I think they're just in that window to where they might still have some speed against a fresh set of hards, because of course when both tires are starting from fresh, the mediums are about a second or so faster than the hard tires, but when they get down to having some age on them, the hards really become preferable, at least in this instance, to where Sykomich has 0 laps on his hard tires. Fresh tires is always better than old tires.
The thing with Sykomich, I don't think they are fresh. I think he's been on those for 12 laps now. It's just not counting up, which I don't know why. So this is why it's unpredictable about how long these tyres are going to last. But I think anyone who's watching this tonight is going to get a bit of an idea, if they watch Sykomich, on how long he actually goes for. So he's sitting in their 4th place. He's now 2.5 seconds behind Hooky, who passed him the lap previous. Now, it's saying the medium runners to pit between 13 and 17. They try to last till 17. They're in danger of puncture, so I wouldn't be surprised for too long if you see the medium runners like Bannister, Finding Lion, and of course Kenzo start to pit and get on a set of hards, which will take us to the end of the race.
And Clarkson was able to go around Sykomich through the corkscrew. He got under him into turn 1 and was able to complete the pass coming out of turn 3. And now look at this, Racing Podge coming out of nowhere to make the move on Sykomich. So Sykomich's tires, as you said, likely very old, so he is dropping back now. He might want to think about pitting before too long, but the hards can last a fairly decent time around these racetracks, so we'll have to wait and see what he does there. But Racing Podge now setting his sights on DJ Clarkson in that Mercedes. Clarkson getting a better exit out of that corner. Racing Podge just trying to do everything he can to stay within DRS range. I don't think it's going to be an issue to stay within range. He's only about 0.4 of a second behind Clarkson at the moment, so I think he's going to be okay. Getting a little bit loose there through that corner, having to turn left through a right-hander. You never want to have to do that, so that loses a little bit of time, but still going to be within DRS range when they get to the line. There you see Sykomich out the back of Racing Podge's car, so losing a lot of time there is Sykomich. He's not even within DRS range to Racing Podge, so Racing Podge has no issue with Sykomich, just with DJ Clarkson, but he was not able to get close enough that time to make the move, but went down that straightaway fairly quickly, so DJ Clarkson, Racing Podge showing some pace here, but the man to beat is the one in the lead, and that is Snellweg, who's got 3.5 seconds over Bannister, who has yet to pit in this race.
He really has, and as you mentioned, to go left, to go right. Wrong sport for that. Wrong sport. If you're going to try and drift an F1 car around a corner, you're going to lose so much time. But let's say the medium runners are now starting to pit, and they are dropping back down. But obviously, look a bit further down there, 9th place. Energy Dan still going. He's got himself back in the points. He's got the right way of doing it. I wouldn't be surprised if, as he picks up a penalty at the same time for multiple warnings, I wouldn't be surprised if Dan does a sneaky tactic of trying to go as far as he can on these hards and chucking on a pair of softs at the end.
And I've seen drivers go over 30 laps on the hard tires. Not at this specific racetrack, so that obviously is a factor. But I would not be surprised if Energy Dan is able to last the whole race on those hard tires, because he got damaged fairly early, and if the lap counter on those tires is right, he's only been on them for 11 laps. And we're on lap 14 now, so we've got about 14 laps to go, or just right there at that halfway mark. So with that being in mind, he would be ending this race, if he stayed out, with about 26, 27 laps or so on those hard tires. So I feel like that's doable. The question is, will he be able to control it by the time we get to the end?
That is the big question, isn't it? And the last thing you want is having destroyed tyres, like unfortunately they were around Silverstone the past couple of weeks. I can't see them lasting, I really can't. There's Bannister pits as well. I just can't see them staying on those tyres to the end of the race. I just don't see it. I think I say give him till like 2021, he'll come in, chuck on a set of softs, and just go absolutely bonkers with them.
See, that's what I was thinking there, is that if he cannot last on those hard tires, I wouldn't be surprised if he was able to build himself up a nice little pit stop gap and maybe get a free pit stop and not drop out of the points. And if he's able to do that, then like you said, he can put on a fresh set of softs, and then we could be looking at least the fastest lap.
At least, yeah. He needs a bit more of a pit stop. He's only 9 seconds ahead of You Can Beat Me right now on the same a lot of tyres. It's just one hell of a race right now. It's not that's interesting. No, I actually thought Sykovic has already been in the pits. Unfortunately, he hasn't. He's still going. Sykovic is still going on 15 lap hold hard tyres.
Well, if Energy Dan could watch our broadcast and race at the same time, he might be taking notes on Sykovic to see how long he can make his own tires last.
Well, like I say, if you can't make those hards last, try and get as much gap as you can. Push them on as much as you can. And if you can't do the soft tyres, get straight onto the mediums again, and you can still actually have some decent laps on those on fresh mediums. But we'll see what happens. Right now, as Podge is really getting raced behind DJ Clarkson right now, as Snellwig is extending that lead at the same time, as he's nearly 11 seconds ahead of Hookie. So unless something drastic happens at the front, I think Snellwig's got this in the bag, you know.
Yeah, I do believe that you're right there, that he does have this thing basically wrapped up. I mean, obviously, if he clips a curb and spins it, then it falls into Hookie's hands. But if Snellweg can just keep it clean from here on out, he's got this thing won. And, I'm sure that he knows that. I'm sure that he is, whether he's looking at the gap on his own merit or asking his race engineer how far behind Hookie is, I'm sure that he understands that he just needs to keep it clean. And watching him now, well, I was going to say it doesn't look like he's taking a lot of risks, but actually he went very wide out of that last corner, so maybe he's still trying to keep the pace. But honestly, if I were him, I would be trying to avoid going wide out of these corners, because I would not want to pick up a time penalty, because that would just put my chances of winning in further jeopardy. Of course, with 10 seconds on Hookie, he can afford a 3-second time penalty and still be okay, but he can't afford a 6 or a 9-second time penalty, because once it gets to that point, if Hookie knows about it, then he's going to be kicking into high gear to try to catch him.
I think he will. Because I say they still got to do another large pit stop yet, so they're going to have to come in again yet, because with 12 laps to go, they're not going to last those mediums. But looking down at Sykovic, who has pitted onto mediums himself now, he made those hards last 16 laps. Sykovic is actually in a good position right now, because there's a lot of guys in front of him that still have to pit again. The likes of Shadow Lancer has to pit again. Racing Podge, who's in right now. DJ Clarkson has to pit. Hookie has to pit. Snellwig has to pit. As Fanny Line has retired from the race. He's lost it just before the... He's lost it before the slingshot. But it looks of it there, looking at track map. It looks like his ghost has got it going again, but it looks like he's just retired on track.
Just seems like Fanny Line hasn't really had the best of days here today.
He hasn't, because he's an extremely quick guy as well. I say he's had some really decent races, apart from Vietnam where he finished 10th, but he's had some decent results previously. With I'd say with 6th and 7th. And even his qualifying record is actually really good. He didn't have no time in Vietnam, but then again, it wasn't the best track to really do a time on. It was quite difficult. But he is a quick driver. He's just having some extremely bad luck at the moment, and I really do hope that comes out of him, because I think he's got a lot, and I mean a hell of a lot to show.
Yeah, and that's the thing with racing, is sometimes it's your day, sometimes it's not. You can be a quick driver, but if you have bad luck or just make a mistake, then your day can be done. So going to be looking for Fanny Line to maybe rebound here in the next couple weeks in the next races, but not going to be today. As you've said, he has already retired there. You can see him down there in 17th place on the board. But right now we're watching the battle between Racing Podge and Sykovic. Sykovic, of course, on somewhat fresh set of mediums. Of course, the lap counter on those tires is not accurate. In fact, that is Sonicock behind him, not Racing Podge. So, Sonicock, I don't know when the last time was that he pitted for tires, for the same reason that the lap counter is just not accurate for us. but Sonic Hawk trying to use DRS to get close to Psychomish, but not able to do so, but really driving it in deep into that hairpin, almost getting into the back of him, and almost making the same mistake that was made between Fanny Lion and Racing Podge earlier in this race.
He was. No, Sonic's horse lap counter on those hards is correct. And as I mentioned, the medium runners are pitting in, Snellweg has been in. But it looks like Snellweg's got actually... I'm surprised that at Snellweg he's actually come back out in second place, which I'm actually very shocked. I didn't realise he had such a lead.
Energy Dan, he is pitted for well as fresh medium tires.
Yeah, so I think Energy Dan can still make a few places because I think Shade needs to pit and Kara is on softs. Then they're not going to last the race, unfortunately. And I do believe Dan's got enough pace in him to at least get a point out of this race. I actually don't know what's going to happen in this race now. I'm just very surprised that Snellweg is still sitting in second place.
And he's 11 seconds behind, and he's slowly eating into that gap. I'm almost wondering if Hookie is thinking the best chance he's got to win this race is to try to stay out on the medium tires. And honestly, if I was Hookie, I would be taking that risk, just simply because Snellweg has been in a league of his own today, with his only challenger being Sonic Hawk. And, Sonic Hawk, of course, having some issues earlier on in the race. I think I actually said that wrong. I think it was him that actually had the contact with Fanny Lion and the Red Bull. Honestly, I can't remember anymore. So much has happened thus far. But Snellweg has really been in a league of his own today. And I think that Hookie is realizing that the only way that he has to beat Snellweg is to try to stay out on those medium tires. And, to be fair, 11 laps on the mediums is not that bad right now. Give it another few laps, they might really start to drop off. So Snellweg on medium tires, on fresh mediums, is really going to be pushing the pace. And there you see he is still eating away at that gap, but he's not really eating away at it as significantly as I think he needs to be to catch him at the end. It's all just going to be a matter of tire wear, because only now did he break into the 9.9 second bracket as far as separating these drivers, and we have about 9 laps left to go. So Hookie, if he can maintain this pace, or if Snellweg can drop off pace at the same rate, might be able to walk away with this win, barring any time penalties that they picked up.
It's a big if, but let's say I'm on board with Snellweg right now. And he was 11 seconds at this point a lap ago. He's actually taken over 2 seconds out of Hookie on this lap alone. And I think Snellweg's going to bang in the fastest lap of the race to go with it here.
And he has pitted.
Hookie's in the pits. Yeah, he's coming to the pits.
All right, well, apparently he did not feel like he could make those tires last, so that's going to give Snellweg the lead, and that might be all she wrote. Snellweg might very well be walking away with this win. Of course, he's still got to complete the next 8 laps of this race, but so far, Snellweg in a very good position here in the Chinese Grand Prix.
Hookie's actually he's gone very aggressive. He's onto the soft tires. So he's gone very aggressive for the latter part of this race. Whether or not he can make the last 8 laps, that's going to be a different question altogether. Snellweg did put in the fastest lap of 1:33.933 as we went through that as well. Hookie should be able to get Bannister quite easily, but I'm actually quite surprised about an underdog right here, and that is actually Bannister. I would not have expected him to be straight up there, considering where he started. He could possibly get a podium in this race.
That he could, running in second, 12.5 seconds behind Snellweg, not eating away at that gap, so I don't think that he's going to really be a factor as far as catching Snellweg. But as you said, podium is still very much within reach of Bannister, but I don't think it's going to be a second place. I think it's going to be a third place if he does get a podium, because Hookie is on those fresh soft tires, really chipping away at that gap. 1.9 seconds separating now, 1.8, just getting closer and closer with every few meters that they travel. Bannister is going to be a setting duck in about a lap's time. I think that Hookie's going to get by him on the DRS straight next time around.
Talk about a sitting duck. Obviously looking at the back straight now between Shadow, Podge and DJ Clarkson. Podge is not attacking him just yet. Can he make a dive into the hairpin? I think he's got it. Yeah, he has as well. That's a hell of a good move. Nice and clean. Very nice and clean. Oh, Shadow losing on the back end. Is he going to lose the position to... No, he's not. So, just racing Pod and Shadow trading places. it won't be too long before I think Clarkson gets past him as well, because I think Shadow needs to come to the pit and get rid of those mediums for another set. Or maybe softs.
Yeah, but Shadow Lancer and Racing Podge, they're still battling it out here. And, you know, of course, DJ Clarkson's still sticking his nose in the mix. It's a 3-car battle for the 4th position. Racing Podge doing a very good job, though, of hanging on and, you know, holding off Shadow Lancer and that Williams. So these 3 drivers just trying to battle it out in the last few laps to see what points that they can pick up. Clarkson, he's surprising me. He's really looking like he's pretty fast, but just not quite able to get by the Williams just yet.
He can't. I mean, like I say, Shadow Lancer's having an absolutely excellent race here right now, but whether or not he can make those tyres last at the end of the race is another question altogether, which I highly doubt he will, so he might drop down to the lower reaches of the points. But yeah, I could let's say back on with Hooky here. He's just coming out of the slingshot. He's got Bannister all lined up. Does run it a bit tight, a bit wide. Hit Bannister sort of in defence right now. DRS open now. There we go. There's the overtake. God, that overspeed is incredible.
So Bannister, Hooky still battling it out here, going down the front stretch. Lap 22 of 28, so really ticking down to the last few laps here, and Hooky going to try to go on the outside, heading to the corkscrew around Bannister, but will he be able to make the move? Yes, he does, but does he clear him? Yes, he does, just barely, almost contact, but no contact. That's always good to see, but Hooky taking a very wide line through turn 2, but actually that might have helped him. It helped him really arc that car in and hit the apex so very late, but in such a way that he just was able to pull away from Bannister. Got a really good exit out of turn 3 there. So Bannister can now do nothing but watch that AlphaTauri just really pull away and get smaller and smaller on the horizon. His next competitor, though, is going to be Racing Podge, but that's 6.7 seconds behind. I think Bannister is okay if he can just maintain this pace.
I think he really is, but I think Bannister can come back at Hooky in the next few laps when those soft tyres start to die away. As Jensen's put into the chat here as well, he's going to be right on the edge of that tyre wear at the end of the race with those softs. He's going to be in danger of a puncture if he doesn't look after him. He's going to have to start looking after him very, very soon. So if he could just keep over a second ahead of Bannister all the way through this and just manage his tyres, he should be okay for a really, really good podium.
Gonna have to wait and see. Of course, Snellweg 14 seconds ahead of Hooky, so you know there's really gonna be no battle there, not with the amount of time that we have left. But it does look like there's a battle maybe trying to brew between Shadow Lancer and DJ Clarkson. Clarkson, of course, has already been able to get by Shadow Lancer, but just as I say that, it does look like he is dropping back. Clarkson, though, getting somewhat close to Racing Podge there through that hairpin. Of course, Racing Podge getting a good exit out of the corner, so he's able to hang on to it. And look at that, Hooky just set the fastest lap, so there's an extra point for him.
He did. I saw that coming out. I knew he was going to be. He was extremely quick. He's only just beat it, but not by much. But he has just beaten it. So an extra point for Hooky on the board there. But say 14.3 seconds with 5 laps to go. It's going to be very difficult unless Snellweg makes a complete and utter mistake, which I highly doubt, because other than that, Snellweg has controlled this race from start to finish.
Yeah, he really has. I mean, like I said, he is in an absolute league of his own, and really the only other driver that was able to challenge him here today was Sonic Hawk, and you see him back in 7th place. So there's going to be no challenge from Sonic Hawk anymore. All Snellweg has to do is ride around and just keep a somewhat steady pace, and he'll be able to win this race. I mean, he's got a 13-second gap. I mean, he could coast all the way through an entire corner, still be completely okay. So it's just a matter of hanging on to it, staying out there, and I would imagine, managing your tires as well, just to make sure that you can keep some pace. But, he pitted just a few laps ago. So the tire wear isn't going to really be that much of an issue. Even when we get down to the last lap, he's on those mediums, so he'll still have plenty of tire wear left. It's just a matter of, trying to avoid lockup so you can make sure that you don't go wide, or that you don't have to cut a corner and get a time penalty, which even if he did, he would still be okay. Speaking of time penalties, you can beat me getting a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's running in 12th, so out of the points and not having a good day thus far, and that's just going to make it a lot worse.
No, down there at 12th place with his teammate Nickelodeon, and they just seem to have their own little battle at the moment between the two of them. And of course, Gamey Thing's on the back of them as well, who again has also had a bit of a struggle race right at the back. He's just glitching everywhere. But no, the two Renaults having their own little race back there with Shade in 11th place. But they are miles away from Kenzo in that last points position. So I think the guys in the top 10 right now is pretty much how they're going to be for the rest of this race. But I'm surprised Shadow Lance is still going. Is he actually going to try and make those softs last all the way? Well, he's not going to lose any points. I mean, he's not going to drop out of the points, even if he does come into the pits now for maybe a soft blast. But he's looking for some good points. So it's going to be risky. It's risky.
I think that at this point he's just trying to think, hey, how can I maximize my points total? Because if he were to pit now, he runs a risk of dropping out of the points, and even if he didn't drop out of the points, he would get significantly less than if he were to finish in 6th. Now, I don't think he is going to finish in 6th because, as you said, those tires, they're really getting close. And Sonic Hawk, 1.4 seconds behind, is probably going to pass him here very soon, but I think that Shadow Lancer could still finish 7th or 8th rather than finishing 9th or 10th if he does pit. He's just going to have to really hang on to those tires, as you said, and conserve.
It is, and the best place to conserve in it is really just coming out of that hairpin pen like they did. I mean, the last thing you want to do is start having that back end wiggling around like crazy, because you're just going to get no traction. You're going to destroy the rear tyres at the same time. But you can visibly see Sonic Hawk is reeling him in, and so I don't think it'll be too long before he gets past him. But behind that Psychomich, it's not really closing on either of these two either, so it could be alright. If Shadow can get those tyres last, he should be okay for 8th place. Sorry, 7th place, because I just don't see Psychomich catching him.
Yeah, Psychomich, he has, I think, about 10 laps on his tires. Of course, the tire counter, it is not accurate at all. But I think it's about anywhere from 10 to 15 laps on those tires. So Psychomich is probably starting to really feel the tire wear on that thing and just really regret having to drive it. But at this point, he's just trying to maximize his points total as well. Watching Sonic Hawk now trying to get close to Shadow Lancer, and I think he's going to be able to get by him on the DRS straight. If he doesn't get by him before then, Shadow Lancer actually getting a very good exit out of that corner, considering how old his tires are. So he's so far really hanging on and holding Sonic Hawk off. Let's see what he does down the front straightaway. They're coming out of the slingshot now, going to have the DRS, or at least Sonic Hawk is. Shadow Lancer isn't going to have anything, so he's going to be a sitting duck. Look for him to dive down low to try to defend that position. Or is he just going to let Sonic Hawk by? He hasn't dove down low yet. Riding on board with Sonic Hawk, yeah, he's just going to let him by. Yep, there goes Sonic Hawk around Shadow Lancer for the 6th place. Riding on board with Shadow Lancer now, trying to fight back on the outside, just, trying to, give one last Hail Mary to see if he can hold him off, but just can't do it. He just does not have the pace on those old tires. So Sonic Hawk pulling away for 6th place. Shadow Lancer going to have to worry about Psychomich 6 seconds behind. But as you said, I just don't see Psychomich catching him by the time the race gets to the end.
No, Psychomich has only gained a 10th in that lap alone. But as you're watching, obviously Sonic Hawk and obviously Shadow Lancer there on the back straight, I had my eye on Racing Pod and DJ Clarkson doing the exact same thing. There's one thing I didn't notice, that Racing Pod is actually carrying a bit of damage right now. He's got the front left end plate missing off that Ferrari, but he's still very close with DJ Clarkson. So May might just give it another go coming out the slingshot for that back straight, and who knows? He might just get him. But I think your top 3 right now, to just go back to that, is definitely Snellwork, Hooky and Bannister. Penalties obviously not being included in this one, but Bannister is starting to slowly close in on Hooky now. I think he's gained a 2nd on last lap alone.
Yeah, and I'm very surprised that Racing Podge is actually able to keep pace with Clarkson with that damaged front wing. Every time I get a damaged front wing, it is just so awful to hang on to. So Racing Podge doing an excellent job of just staying with Clarkson. He's not in DRS range. He's close, but he's just not there. So he might not be able to get by Clarkson, but if he is able to hang on for a 5th place finishing position, then that in its own right is nothing to shake a stick at.
It's not at all. I say Racing Pod has actually had a fantastic race. I say Sonic Hawk's just trying to come back anyway, especially after what happened going into the back of, was it Fanny Line, I think, during turn 1. But I think Sonic Sword's had a good recovery drive, the same as Energy down there, back down in 9th place. He might still get a position if he can find a bit of pace to get past Tykomich. Shadow Lancer is at a very steady race as well, and say Kenzo sitting in that 10th place. Few questions about obviously some of the driving around Kara, who I think is at the biggest loss at this race, sitting down in 15th after having, and of course then picking up a 3-second time penalty trying to get past Nickelodeon. But Kara could have had a really good lap on that in qualifying, but we'll never know what kind of effect that would have had during the race. But fortunately, sitting right near the back of the pack.
And Kara, another 5-second time penalty, so that's still a still a really interesting battle here between Nickelodeon and Kara. Speaking of time penalties, though, out of the last corner on the last lap that just passed, Clarkson picked up a 3-second time penalty, so Racing Podge might get that 4th place after all, assuming Racing Podge doesn't have any time penalties.
That is a good question. That is a very good question. I mean, I could actually quite go and be happy enough and go find out, but kind of ruin it for everyone else if everyone knew what was going on. But I think we're just going to wait to the end of the race here. Bannister, right, believe it or not, is actually starting to fall back off Hooky, who's must be very, very dead tyres right now. So
there was contact between Kara and Shade. Kara just absolutely bullying their way through to get by Shade, doing a good job though of staying within the tracks. Of course, with I believe they have at least 8 seconds worth of time penalties now. I don't think it's really going to matter. But, Kara is just showing that they're fast, they're quick, and that they can still run fast laps at the end of this race. But going to join Snellweg now because it is the last lap of the race. He has just started his final lap. Snellweg 17 seconds ahead of Hooky. And just what an absolutely dominant performance that Snellweg has put on today.
It's been absolutely amazing. He knows he's winning because he actually started weaving down the small straight to celebrate, which he's actually doing now. He's actually weaving down the back straight because that is a pure, unbelievable, dominant performance from lights out to the flag. He was never being really bothered. He had a bit of a fight with Sonic Corp after pit stops. That was it. That was it.
Yep. One more corner to go. Sonic Hawk stays in the track, and he will cross the line and win the Chinese Grand Prix for the GP4 Series. It spins out right at the end. That's why you don't celebrate too early, but I think he was able to get it just barely. But yeah, that's why I never celebrate too early, because you don't want to do that. Luckily for him, he was able to cross the line first. So Hooky going to come across the line in 2nd place on those soft tires, being able to hang on to him for 8 laps. Bannister in 3rd with an amazing strategy on the hard tires. Snellweg, Hooky, Bannister, your podium finishers. Now let's see what happens with Clarkson and Racing Podge. Will Racing Podge be able to jump in with time penalties? No, he does not. Clarkson's going to hang on to 4th. Racing Podge in 5th. Sonic Hawk in 6th.
No. Shadow Lancer. Just going on to it now. I think he's got a puncture. He's got a puncture. I'm sorry, he's going very slow. He's actually dropped out of the points now. That is unbelievable. I think he's had a puncture. I can't see where it is.
I think it might be. Yeah, it is the right rear. Yep.
Oh, dear. Unbelievable. Talk about. That is so unfortunate for Shadow. He was in the point. Oh, dear.
Oh, he was a quarter of a lap away from getting the points. And, still a really good strategy, I think. I think he was in a position to where he had to take that risk, and it almost worked for him. 11th place for Shadow Lancer. It almost worked for him. It was just a matter of, maybe if he'd have taken one extra lap and drove it just a little bit more conservatively, he might have crossed the line in the points-paying position. So it was a good strategy from him. He had to try it. I do believe it just didn't work out for him at the end.
No, it's just unfortunate. We've seen a quarter of a lap to go and losing all those positions. I bet he's got to be absolutely good, but like you said, he had to go for it. But I think in the long run would have been a better of trying to do the pit stop and then gain those positions back. But we'll never know. But unfortunately, there it is.
Yep, Shadow Lancer officially in 11th place. Snellweg is your winner. Driver of the day is Bannister, and honestly, I think that's pretty fair.
It really was. He had an amazing strategy to finish up in 3rd place as well after being, nowhere. and we just never took any notice of it until near the end of the race, before the second round of pit stops. That he was there, so he had an amazing strategy, and got a podium out of it at the same time. So well done to Bannister.
Yeah, and so it's a McLaren, AlphaTauri, and Racing Point podium that you're seeing here today. Snellweg, Hookey, and Bannister. That is your top three, and just, what an amazing race all around, with all kinds of different tire strategies, and obviously no shortage of action there at the end. Your official running order, your official results for the Speed Force Racing GP4 Series Chinese Grand Prix: Snellweg in first, Hookey second, Bannister in third, Clarkson in fourth, Racing Podge in fifth, Sonic Hockey in sixth, Energy Dan in the seventh position, eighth is Psychomich, ninth is Kenzo, You Can Beat Me in 10th, 11th is Shadow Lancer. After that, unfortunate right rear puncture. Shade in 12th, Gizlodian in 13th, Kara in 14th, Gamey Things in 15th, Chew in 16th, Fannyline in 17th, and Proliver in the 18th position, with Lizens with an early DNF coming in the 19th position. So we're going to get interviews with our top three of Snellweg, Hookey, and Bannister here in just a few minutes' time. So stick around for the interviews and see what their thoughts of the race are. But I want to get your thoughts, Gareth. What did you think?
That race was just purely amazing, to be honest. I loved every minute of it. There was just so much going on. And I didn't realise how far Bannister was actually down. I mean, like I say, he actually started down in 17th place to finish where he did. So that was an amazing finish. And just trying to get everyone in for you here now. Get there in a second. Slowly but surely. I can't wait for next week now in Zandvoort. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I know. And have you driven around Zandvoort yet?
I have. I've actually done it in my career. Oh my god, it just feels absolutely awesome. It's like a roller coaster ride and a go-kart track all mixed into one. It's awesome.
I absolutely love Zandvoort, and I cannot wait for Zandvoort to actually happen here with in the Speed Force Racing League. So that's going to be next week. I do believe that all the drivers are in right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are we waiting on Bannister yet or no?
Just getting Bannister sorted out now. Give me a second here. It's not like him at the moment, so just give me a moment and we will get the last guy in here. I've got the name correct, because I actually don't have them on my friends list, so I might just basically find them.
Alright, well, I know that we have Hookey and Snellweg in here, so we're going to go ahead and talk to Hookey for the time being. So, first, hello, Hookey. First of all, Snellweg, Hookey, and Bannister, if you're in here as well, please remember that in order for the chat or the stream to hear you, that you're going to have to allow your voices to be shared. So go ahead and go over to party settings if you haven't already done that, and click always allow, and let me know when you're ready. So, Hookey, are you ready?
2 seconds.
Alrighty.
Yeah, always allow, yeah.
Awesome. Alright, so first question is for Hookey, our runner-up here today in the Chinese Grand Prix. You qualified in third, and then you were able to, at the finish, just kind of jump that position, get into second. It seemed like Snellweg was really in a league of his own today, but did you think that you had anything to challenge Snellweg at all today?
Not a chance. I seen how close we were in our practice session yesterday in the wet, and he just drifted off into the distance, and it was the same again today. I tried my best, and it wasn't good enough, point blank.
Yeah, and we noticed that it was about with 8 laps to go, give or take, that you were running on the medium tires and you decided to pit for the softs, I guess, to try to go for the fastest lap. How bad was your tire wear when you decided to pit?
Funny story. I was trying my best to keep those mediums alive. It's actually a big shout out to one of my friends who is no longer in the league, Jimbo Manzi, who helped me on the strategy today. But yeah, no, I was gonna try and do the one stop all week, and he just told me just do two stop. Lap 20, my tyres were on 56%, and I seen Snellweg pit the lap before me, and I thought, oh, this is the time I've got to try and get it. Even if I just get fastest lap, which I did, fortunately, just to give me an extra point, and that's what happened.
Well, it seemed to work out for you. It's not a win, but it's the second place position for you, Hookie. Congratulations. Gonna turn now to Bannister, who, you just had a very, very good day here today, Bannister. I mean, it wasn't a win, but you did get a podium on those hard tires. Just tell us about your strategy and what was really the deciding factor in getting that podium.
Well, after qualifying, obviously I crashed. So I had to play about with the wing settings to allow me to use the mediums for the beginning, and then I go to the hards for the end, but they were absolutely ripped to shreds by the end. So I was lucky to keep up.
If you hadn't have wrecked in qualifying, do you think that you might have had any way to challenge for the win, or was it the best case scenario here today?
Looking at the times, I'd have been in the top 6 from practice. So I was a bit disappointed, but I'm happy with the third.
Well, congratulations to the third place indeed. Now I'm going to turn our attention to the race winner, the McLaren of Snellweg. Snellweg, as you've heard me say, you were in an absolute league of your own today. I just want to know, how did you find all that pace? How were you just so fast here today, running almost a perfect race?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit surprised myself as well where this pace came from. To be honest, Australia and Bahrain, I wasn't really that close to the podiums or something. And now with Vietnam and China, I found the pace, I guess. So I'm happy with that.
If Sonicock hadn't have had issues during the race, do you think that he would have been a challenger for you later on, or do you think that you just had the thing wrapped up from the green flag?
I think we could have had the same scenario as we had last week, where we just were close and we come down to the end of the race.
Yep. Well, it didn't come down to the end of the race today, at least not for the first position, but nonetheless, you are standing in victory lane, so congratulations. Gareth, do you have any questions for our top 3 finishers?
I actually don't, but I do have one small comment. This is to Snellweg. Seeing GP3 soon, very soon, I think. If you keep at that kind of pace, I'm sure you'll be on the roster for GP3 before too long.
Yep.
Well, we'll see if he does join in GP3, but I think that's going to do it for our race here today. To all the viewers at home, thank you so much for joining in and watching the Speed Force Racing GP4 Series Chinese Grand Prix. It's been a fun one. It was an interesting one with a lot of differing tire strategies. And until next week, good morning, good evening, good day, good night,